All right, hello. My name is Coach Thumper, and we are going to do a team VOD review today. So these are multiple maps from a scrim. We are going to be VOD reviewing the blue team, which their name is Soaring Crows. They're part of Team Ascension, which is an org in which I'm running. I'm actually running their league. So we're gonna be doing this VOD review. So we're gonna start on Busan. We're starting off on I believe this is Shrine or something like that. So this map's quite flat in particular. But so let's talk about compositions first. I feel like that's a really important thing to do. So the current meta, quote unquote, is these tanks. That's good. I like that. This can be replaced for Zarya, but generally speaking, it's Winston Diva and sometimes Winston Zarya. And then the healers are actually what they have. It's Moira Lucio here. Moira plus Lucio. And then generally it's Reaper and Sombra, which the other team does have a Sombra. Okay. And the reason it's this is because when you have a Winston and a Diva or Winston and a Zarya, it allows for a lot of space making with this Winston. And with the nerf of particularly hit scan burst damage, but burst damage overall, and burst healing overall, Reinhardt's a little bit weaker because of the lack of burst healing. Same with Orisa, but Winston actually functions the best out of the three main tanks right now. And then the Reaper kind of sustained his damage output, and then the Sombra's also obviously very very good. Plus EMP's basically an auto fight win. Moira Lucio. Anna's just a little bit vulnerable right now with Reaper and Sombra and dive tanks in the meta. It's not like Anna's unplayable by any stretch of the imagination. She's just a little bit difficult to play because of the vulnerability. And then Lucio's the best because it gets your off tank moving no matter what cooldowns they may have or whether it's Diva or Zarya. And you can also speed your Reaper around when necessary, and then obviously you have that beat that you have to kind of play around the EMP, but it has that. That's technically the meta. Now, I am not one of those coaches that's very meta driven. I am fine playing things. I'd rather play things that you're comfortable or you like playing more so than just playing the meta, unless you're up in that 4.3 plus range. Because at that range, you start getting into the compositional differences actually do mean the difference between getting rolled and rolling. But at a low masters level, which is what you said this team what this team is at a low masters level, composition matters a little bit less. That being said, though, I don't love this composition, and I don't love it for really a few reasons. I don't love both of these heroes. One of these is fine. So either a Widow or a Hanzo is fine. Both is a problem because both means that. So I generally try to build compositions off win conditions, right? And win conditions generally involve ultimates, or it involves at least one ultimate with a lot of cooldowns, if not multiple ultimates, right? Well, nothing combos with bomb in this entire thing, right? There's nothing that just combos with bomb, right? Primal is one of those ultimates that is more of a sustain to get the winning ultimates out. Visor, kind of the same thing. And then Dragon is one of those that you need to combine with Earth, one of the tank ults. Either it's Earth Shatter or it's Grav or it's Gravitic or something like that, where it allows the enemy players to kind of stay in the same spot so that the dragon can kind of just roll over them. And we don't have any of that. Valk is again kind of just a sustaining ultimate, and Trans is also a sustaining ultimate. So when we have ultimates, we have 3 sustaining ultimates really, and then we have the Widow ult, which is great for double sniper because it gives both of them sights for a limited amount of time, but it's purely mechanical, right? And then we have Diva Bomb, which is kind of a throw to the sky. It's almost a sustaining ultimate as well. So it's almost but it's almost a throw to the sky, hope see what we get kind of ultimate. It's hard to get value out of, without combining with something else. In the Goats meta, it was like Bomb, Grav. Grav ends as soon as Grav ends. Lucio boops people forward and back or whatever, so the bomb hits like everybody, right? Like combining things like that. So we really have no win conditions across this entire grouping. I would rather see one of these guys change to a Sombra. And then I would like to see one of these two change to something else, whether it be a Lucio, Lucio maybe for like the Zen, for example, or even an Anna for the either one, honestly, at that point. Just so like you have Nano as a win condition. You have something that, you know, Trans does this, but Lucio, you have something where like Lucio can kind of go with the dive, and still peel for your support. I mean, for your snipers, something along those lines. I don't love this composition, but that's okay. Like I'm sure you run it well. It's just that it doesn't really have any viable win conditions that are obvious to the eye beyond like sights and like just pure mechanics. All right, so let's take a look. I've never seen this team play before, so let's take a look at what we're doing here. So Orb immediately on the Winston. That's good. You switch, and you're switching it a lot. That's usually a good idea. Ooh. Okay, so this Winston should be dead, and I think this is one of the problems with having these double snipers. Is this Winston really should be dead because he dove in with no D.Va. The D.Va didn't DM him in. He didn't really do anything, and so. He dove by himself with no bubble in plain sight the entire way. So he should be dead. The Zen and the Hanzo with a power boost from the Mercy, plus, you know, some chip damage from the tanks, really should have killed him. So immediately, this could just be an abnormal thing for you guys, but immediately, like, a fast target focus might be an issue. By the way, this is one of the reasons that Lucio's better, because look. So if we divide the map in the middle, right, where the point's just driven in the middle, they're already way on your side of that. And the reason they're way on your side of that is Lucio got them to this point, and then the Winston immediately took space. Now he took space really poorly, but he didn't get punished for it. So he immediately took space. So now you guys are actually in a pretty bad position because you're going to have to figure out how to retake this whole area and push them back to point, to this side of point, so that you can kind of have a 50-50 positional battle on point. Because this is a bad position to be in. So what's going to have to happen here, and with double snipers, this is really difficult. So what's going to happen here is one of your snipers, or both, or maybe a sniper and a Zen, is going to have to take this off angle and get a pick, or at least get so much pressure down that these guys feel like they have to retreat back to point fully. And then your Winston, D.Va, and again, this is one of the reasons with this composition, Winston, D.Va, and who, right? Like, who's, like, who, right? So Winston, D.Va, and I guess who's ever sitting here is going to have to put pressure on this area, either by being in it or being around it, so that we can touch point, kind of deny the cap until we can get kind of more off angles and more pressure with mechanical skill from our snipers and our Zenyatta. Even a Tracer would be better than one of these, because even instead of a Sombra, you know, even Genji, just anything that can like get in there, right? Reaper, any of that. Because right now your tanks are gonna have a really hard time holding space. Okay, and okay. So okay. Let me keep watching before I make that. So Zen got a mechanical, and Hanzo dies. Get a res off in the Lucio's face, okay. And then we get the Moira. Okay. So this team you're playing is not very coordinated, frankly. But let me kind of show you where this could have gone a lot better, okay? So let me turn overlays on for a second. So we get to this position, okay? Regardless of your Zen about to blow up this Sombra, right? We get to this position. I don't like your DPS's positions, because the reason I don't like your DPS positions is they're running it down the main line of sight the entire time, okay? So let me just kind of show you something real quick, okay? So this is a blackboard. So if the enemy team is here, okay, and they're let's just say the enemy team is here arbitrarily, right? Like there's no, let's take map geometry out of the equation. Let's take what composition we're playing against out of the equation, things like that. Okay, if the enemy is there, if the enemy is yellow and it's there, okay, and our main angle, quote unquote, is here. Okay, our main angle can be and probably should be. This is going to include Monkey because he's kind of holding the front line. Monkey's not going to be able to survive without. There should be an E in there. Monkey E. Monkey should not be able to survive without a diva. So probably a diva. Your Zin's probably going to have something to say about this. He's going to be kind of like your main frontline pressure. And then one of your two snipers, one of your two DPS is also going to be there. However, one of these can pretty consistently split off. But so this is your main angle, quote unquote. Okay, so this is, let's just call it main. Main, I can spell this morning. Main angle. Okay, that's your main angle. And on your main angle is where you want to kind of hold the enemy's attention, and where you want to make sure that they feel the pressure of whatever you're doing. Not necessarily the most, but the most consistently. Okay. Now, there are off angles and there's flanking angles. Another name for it is hard flanking angles and soft flanking angles, where you have these kind of like, okay, this area is kind of going to be your quote unquote soft flanking angles or your off angles. I like off angles better. So these are kind of your off angles, right? And then this area is kind of going to be your flanking angles. Okay. Your other DPS and Mercy and potentially Zen or both DPS. There's a lot of combinations you can do with your current composition because you have a lot of range damage. Should be on one of these. So you need more than one angle of attack. So like say your Widowmaker and your Mercy, or your Hanzo and your Mercy are over here shooting this way. What this does is it splits the enemy team's focus. So say they have 100% value. It says, okay, we're going to put 70% of our value here and 30% of our value here. This is important because the better your flank angle or your main angle is, the more you can kind of counteract this percentage. Okay, arbitrary numbers, of course, but counteract this percentage and probably force a mistake. Okay, now the situation is, okay, when do I flank / off angle, and when do I just send the entire team on a main angle? Well, let me show you. So in this position, right? Who do we think's out of position here? Or who do we think could be in a better position is a better question. I think the Widow and the Mercy, because of the Widow, could easily be in a lot better position. And I think with the position we have with this natural cover and everything, actually the Zen should probably go with them. So putting the Hanzo here for like shield break, and then the Monkey and Diva can kind of play around this corner and shoot this way. I think the Zen and the Widowmaker especially, you can be like back here, dude. Like they weren't going up on this platform at all. They're just coming this way. So like you could have easily rotated around this way and just shot this back angle. And then if you're doing that, Zen should probably stay on the main angle. But if you're gonna go on this off angle, Zen can actually go with you, and you can shoot this way, right? So the issue is that when you have double sniper, and you're looking at a DM and a monkey shield and a giant monkey body, and everyone's kind of like lined up behind him, it's hard to get any value. It's really hard to get any value. And then I will say, just as a very basic concept, not as a like team positional concept, your Hanzo is out of position. Okay, look, he's literally as far from natural cover as you can possibly get. Like in every direction, he's as far as from natural cover as you can possibly get. He's literally picked the one spot where if they decided to go full in and completely dive him, there's nothing he or any of the supports or any of the tanks could do. He's dead. Okay. So, and you're like, well, it's just like you paused. It's just one position. Yeah, I paused. It's just one position. It's one position you could die in. Okay. That's the point. All right. So moving. Ooh, didn't mean to do that quite like that. Okay. Overlay, please. Okay. So we're in this position, and he's staying in that position, by the way. Like, you see how far he is from cover? The Hanzo the entire time? Now, your Zen just absolutely demolishes that Sombra. But watch this, okay? He finally gets to cover, but it's an off angle that he's not supported on in any way, shape, or form, because we're way back here and way over here. Now, why are we way back here? Well, we killed the Sombra, right? We killed the Sombra, but we're way back here because we kind of inherently understand as low masters players or a low masters team that, hey, you know, we've already used bubble and a lot of our other resources. We're probably not getting a whole lot done. We haven't got a lot of ground going on, so we backed up a little bit to anticipation of them pushing that forward angle, right? That's what we've done so far. Okay, now your Hanzo gets jumped, and there's nothing he can do about that because it's not a supported off angle, and he went from like no cover to a little bit of cover, but it's not a supported off angle. And I think he actually also used his like jumping maneuver to get there as well, jumping cooldown to get there. Again, their Diva's slow though. See how slow their Diva is? This is their weak link right now. This guy, their Diva. Because like every time their Winston jumps, he's just not with him. The G-Man's their weak link right now. I'm interested to know why we went this way. Okay, so there's two when you're diving. There's two things you can do. You can either peel, or you can counter dive. The difference is if you're peeling, you're literally peeling back towards your teammates that have been dove to make sure they don't die and hopefully kill the targets that dove them because they don't have their movement cooldowns anymore because they, you know, dove, right? That's peeling, okay? Counter diving is saying, okay, they dove to my teammates, but they left their teammates behind. I'm going to go dive theirs and say, I'm going to get more value out of my dive than you're going to get out of yours, okay? That's counter diving. And considering your teammate is already dead, there's no reason to peel here, like at all. So you're either going to dive the Genji, which is the only way you're probably getting value out of this dive in the first place, or you need to dive the supports over here. Now, I don't mind it if you dive the Genji instead, because the Genji is a little bit harder time getting out than, say, like a Moira fade. But neither one's a great option because they both have some kind of self-sustain. Lucio's kind of quick, Moira has a fade, Genji has a dash. So it's like, well, all right, this is not a great option overall. But the Genji's the better option because he's in close range. There's a lot of cover over here. It's the one part of the map where there is a lot of cover. And it's, you know, his dash, you can at least shoot him and track him through his dash, right? Okay, really bad mistake. Really, really bad mistake. So the Moira realizes she's out of position over here and her team needs her heals, and she fades through and into the fight. Never, ever, ever fade into a fight. Always fade out of fights. Never fade into a fight. If you find yourself out of position and you can't get into position, fading into fight is a good way just to die, okay? The better thing for her to do is actually to fade this way, because if she fades this way and she can throw an orb across this way, it'll work a lot better than that. That's ridiculously bad. So as soon as she does that, we have to target focus the Moira, which I believe we do. And the Lucio does it too. That's not, yeah, that's not a good look. Okay, we do get the res off in the Lucio's face, by the way. That's a bad look from their Lucio too. And their monkey dives in. Okay, yeah, this team is not particularly playing well. So, like, literally, they find themselves out of position because 3 went deep and the rest of the team didn't realize what was happening. And so, Monkey dove in, Diva dove in, and Genji dove in. Genji didn't really do anything particularly wrong. He just got picked because the supports didn't go there. Both supports made beelines for them, like, up your back. It was really bad. No. Your number one position, your number one job as Mercy is to keep your Zenyatta alive. That is number one. That is your number one job. Keep your Zen alive. It's not to pocket this Widow. It's not to power boost this Widow. It's not to deal with this monkey, which is, by the way, out of position. It's none of that. It's to keep your Zenyatta alive. That is your number one job as a Mercy if you're going to play Mercy Zen. That's it. That's your entire job as a Mercy. Now he survives because the Hanzo peels, but that's unlikely. Okay, so we have a communication... Either we have a communication error here, or... I mean, this can be nothing other than a communication error, honestly.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
So we're up 3 here. We're literally up 3. It's a 6v3 at this point here, okay? And the Lucio goes back in, by the way. It's a 6v3. And the monkey decides that the diva is the choice. So we have that's one target focus, right? We have one target focus on the team so far, which is the monkey on this diva. Okay? Okay. We have... Let's see where our diva goes. Our diva's going back. Okay. So we have a second target focus. So we have 2 target focuses. This diva, which is the monkey and the widow, and let's just call it the mercy too, because the mercy's over here. And then we have these 3 on the enemy monkey. This is like the definition of bad team focus. Okay. We have like the Lucio just kind of chilling, and then half the team on one tank and half the team on the other tank. Now, what's the right tank? It doesn't matter. You're 6v3. It literally doesn't matter. You're 6v3. Just kill something, but do it as a team so no one dies for it. the Winston. Do it as a team so no one dies for it, and then go to point. Okay? Really, this monkey's got to be first because it's an immediate threat to the Zenyatta. And this diva wouldn't be an immediate threat to this monkey if he hadn't gone chased it by himself. So be aware of that as a team, that your team focus is really problematic. And then the widow's on point because everyone... So, like, because... It's all compounding mistakes. Because your Winston kind of went alone and your diva went this way and our tank line split, and the Winston's obviously going to die, we don't want to give them point because we were up 3v6, right? We don't want to give him points. So now our Widowmaker's out of position because he has to be on point because no one else is even remotely close to being on point. Okay? So, because of the way everything's going down, we're also way out of position in kind of every way. Like, everyone's on their own right now. We can go ahead and speed this back up. Okay, we're still splitting focus, by the way. The diva's over here shooting at a Lucio. Everyone else is kind of shooting at this diva. Okay, we finally capped the point. So all that honest, right now, neither of these teams look like low masters. If I hadn't been told what these teams were, I would not have guessed low masters. That would not have been my guess. I'm not even sure high diamond would have been my guess, honestly. Because at least you guys are moving together and are kind of target focusing, at least between a few of you. But like the composition is kind of funky, and then they're just everywhere. They're not even moving together as a dive. Like even the tank line's not even moving together. Do this. No, actually I like the overlay. Let's leave that on. So, team positionally, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So I don't hate this position. Let me go to yellow. I actually go to pink. I don't hate this position because it is technically kind of an off angle. And you know, you're not just sitting on a main angle, and you are kind of grouped up where like the Mercy has pretty easy pockets on both the Widowmaker and the Zenyatta, which why she hacked a bothered to hack a Widowmaker, I don't know. But you know, the position's not terrible. The reason I don't love the position is 2 things. You're on a Zenyatta and a Widowmaker. What the heck sightlines are you gonna get from here? Right? Oh, we have this sightline, and like if they happen to go to this side of the drum, we have like this sightline. That's not great. That's not gonna be a great amount of sightlines. I would have rathered you've been here, or been over here, or been back here, or I mean, just there's a lot of places, because like there's a risk versus reward system in Overwatch, and your risk back here, yes, your risk is quite low, but I mean, there's a pretty low reward too. Like this is pretty, I don't know, this is pretty like there's nothing there, right? So like, I don't know, that it seems problematic. Oh, okay. Okay, so, this is the other thing, is we've allowed both DPS to push out half of our team, and then we've dove in with the other half, and we're going to completely be outnumbered here, okay? So this is a call issue. Monkey needs to say, I'm diving on stairs, on their tanks on stairs, okay? Diva goes with, that's great. Hanzo, I heard his arrow go off. Hanzo's using Stormbow to break this, Storm Arrow to break this bubble, and he's going to help with the damage output, sure. But if this is called, then these three need to know that they can't back up this way. They have to back up this way. Because if they back up this way, they're just out of the fight. They're completely out of the fight. We're losing half the team, including the entire support line. This is not going to work. This is not okay. We need to know that that call's there, and we need to be in the fight. Okay, so you have to back out this way, and whether you back out this way to come up here and take a shot, or you back out this way to start taking shots this way as you move like kind of towards the team, is up to you. I kind of prefer this way, and this is one of the reasons that this was a bad position to start with, is because if you go this way, that's a pretty long route just to get in a fight. Like your team's gonna be fighting alone for a solid 2 seconds, maybe 3, before you actually get anything decent off. But it's still better than this, which means you're out of the fight for, I don't know what, 5, 6, 7 seconds. You're out of the fight for a long time. Like your Winston's gonna have to primal to survive this. And your Mercy's also probably gonna have to Valk to like fly over and actually get into the fight. So you're probably gonna have to use 2 ultimates, just 2 sustain ultimates, just because everyone's out of position. Okay, so when you're picking off angling positions, no matter who it is, whether it's Zen or whether it's Widow or I guess Mercy just flies around, but or Hanzo, no matter who it is, when you're picking off angling positions, you have to take a few things into consideration. So you have to take sight lines into consideration, especially if you're a sniper, right? Like if you're a Tracer, Sombra, Genji, Reaper, any of the flanking ones, or I should say the movement ones instead of like the sightline ones. You don't take you do take sightlines into consideration, but you don't take sightlines into consideration as heavily. You take approach angles into consideration. For example, the approach angle for like a Sombra or something would be like this way. So where do I position to get a good approach angle, or this way, right? You don't position like here to get a good approach angle, right? That doesn't work. You don't position here to get a good approach angle if you're like a Sombra, right? This doesn't work. So it's the same thing with snipers on off angling, but it's sight lines, not approach angles. So your sight lines suck over here. They're god awful. So that's like one thing. So like let me see, what's like the easiest color to see. I feel like nothing can be seen right now. So sightlines is a huge problem for us right now, is on off angles. But we need to know where those are and make sure we get decent sightlines, because right now your sightlines are literally like, as a gray, they're like 2 out of 10. Like they're really bad. So number 2 we need to keep track of is a reposition ability. So on off angles, you gotta assume on off angles and flank angles that you cannot hold that position for the entire fight. If you can hold that position for the entire fight, you're gonna win the fight. Assuming like you can hit like a monochrome of shots, but you have to know where your reposition is, okay? And what I mean by that is your reposition is not this way. Your reposition has to be this way, okay? You have to know where your reposition is. Now, your ability to reposition out of this into a more usable position once you get pushed out of this position right here is actually pretty good. It's not terrible. This position, going this way, or this position is both pretty valid, because you don't know that they're coming here. That's not the point. I'm not trying to say like hindsight's 2020, they're going here. Huh. Like if they came this way or if they came this way, either one of these positions is pretty decent. So your ability to reposition is not that bad. I'm not saying that it's that bad. So it's really not. It's just that it's going to take you a while. So your reposition ability is really more like a 7 out of 10. Only because like the reposition itself is not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. But it would take you forever to do it. Just because this is a better position. So it would take you quite a bit of time to do it. So your position's like a 7 out of 10. So it's not a great way. It's not great, but like it's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. The third thing you have to take consideration is help ability, or peel ability. Okay. And this is we can't reposition because we literally got dove by 6 and we didn't have the scouting to realize we were going to get dove by 6. How easy is it for our main angle to come help us? Okay. So this is where Winston kind of is way better than the other main tank, excuse me. Is his ability to jump and actually get something going, do something appropriately, right? And with that, you help repeal. Well, there's a lot of cover over here, and but they can go over that or they go through it. So the helper peel's not again, it's not terrible, but it's not bad. It's like a 6 out of 10. But overall, you can kind of see the problems going on. Okay. Okay, and we get mechanical kills. We primal anyway. So we're up to him primal. That's not good. We should not be primaling in that situation. And your Zenyatta's kind of a boss. So I see why you're running the composition you're running. You're mechanically very gifted as a team, obviously. Like your Widow can get value out of a lot of things. Your Zenyatta is kind of winning a lot of the frontline dueling, a lot of the frontline burst pressure, and your Hanzo's kind of doing the same. I don't like the primal there. You're already up 2. You weren't low health, and both your sports had already rotated for you. I'm glad it ended up where the other team did not target focus enough to do anything. Okay, we gotta be careful. We gotta be careful with Sombra here. When you're a Zen and there's a Summer in the team, you gotta be careful. Okay, so we held the same position over here. So there's a duel going on over here. You gotta be careful, Zenyatta, when you're doing this. There's a duel over here. We threw dragons. Where did we even throw those? Yeah, that's what I thought. We threw the dragons kind of randomly through where they might be. And then the rest of our team kind of held the same position with the Diva Peel and no Zenyatta, and are getting ulted now. This is just kind of chaotic. So we like, you can see where this is falling apart, right? Fight number 1, fight number 2, fight number 3. Like, I can circle it, right? And actually, fight number 4. I didn't realize this Diva was chasing. Fight number 4. Like, this is just really chaotic. Like, somebody needs to target focus and target call for your team, because right now there's just nothing. Okay, we need to go after something. So Sombra wins her duel over there. The Dive wins their duel over there. Mercy's going to res. Okay, so your Zenyatta, mechanically very good. Positionally not great going alone over here, especially when you know they have a Genji and a Sombra. Secondly, I know what you're doing. Don't get me wrong. I has squid hat, okay? Don't get me wrong. I know what you're doing. And it's what a lot of Zenyatas do, is they go, okay, I know they have Genji Blade and EMP. I cannot trans until we get Genji Blade and we get EMP. And I'm not going to say that it was a bad decision not to trans here. What I am going to say is be careful with that mentality. The mentality should not be, oh, I'm not going to trans because they have this and this. The mentality is, okay, let's read the situation. We're at 84%. If we win this fight, we win the fight. It's over. Like, it's done and over with. We win the fight. I've already been rezzed, and they've already used a lot of their cooldowns on me. What else do they have? Oh, look, they have 5 ultimates, right? Okay, well, maybe I don't use transit. Like, take everything into account and figure out any chance. Because 84% is, you're getting up into the percentage where, okay, maybe I should trans before they ult, and let's just focus down the Genji and or the Sombra as we're in trans to see if we can get anything done in the meantime, right? Like, we're getting into that range. Okay, this is just gonna be a stall. Okay, you're going to have a problem the rest of this round because they have 5 ultimates, and out of the 5 ultimates, they have 3 win conditions, and you don't have a single win condition. So you're going to have a problem with the rest of this round. If they play their win conditions correctly. Obviously, they don't play their win conditions correctly. Like, they Blade and EMP. That's going to be... Yeah, okay. Never mind. They used all 3 win conditions in the same fight. Okay, that's actually great for you. So that was fantastic for you. That was 10 out of 10 for you because they used all 3 win conditions in one fight where you were still on your side of the map, like you're near the spawn basically. Like, they didn't even wait till you got to this area. They didn't even wait till you got to point or anything. They just did it over here. So you wasted minimal time, you used no ultimates, and they wasted literally all 3 win conditions. Because in your current composition, with how low your heals are, and the fact that you have very immobile DPS, Cole becomes a win condition. So that was actually fantastic. They literally blew all 3 win conditions for you. What they should have done there, what they should have done if they're gonna fight here, which I guess is fine, but it's not fine, but whatever. If they're what they should have done there is they should have just thrown bomb from here to here, and then EMP'd as soon as the bomb was about to go off. That's what they should have done. Because then that's just bomb, which isn't really a win condition on its own, but EMP, which is a win condition on its own. So you're combining a non-win condition with a win condition alt, and you get it. And that now you have 3 alts, probably 4 by the time the next fight comes up. You know, you can just Cole. Yeah, you can just Cole trying to kill this Zenyatta, and if the Cole doesn't get the win condition, which it probably will, but if the Cole doesn't get the win condition, then you can try to kill the Zenyatta with it. If he pops trans, then you back off. You know, use primal to sustain. You back off. And then as soon as the trans goes down, you use Genji Blade and clean up the rest of the fight. And by that point, you've already won with the Diva Bomb EMP, and you're probably all the way up at like 80-85%. And then now your team, Soaring Crows over here on blue, has to like stagger in just to get a good fight off. But so they were set up for the rest of the round, and they just blew it. They just blew their entire alt economy. That was really, really bad. And by the way, the reason I'm not mentioning like combinations and how you use your alt economy for your team is because you have no win conditions on your team. Like, what are you going to do? You throw your bomb and what? You primal people out of the Winston shield, I guess? Like, you put sights up and, like, what? You just get headshots, right? You throw a dragon and hope someone is in a bad position and has to stay in it. Cool. You know, you like there's not you don't really have win conditions on your team right now. You're really going off, like, pure mechanical, non-ultimate type of Overwatch play, which is, again, it's not like it's terrible, it's just not good. Okay, I don't know what this diva, like, this G-Man is not playing well right now. Let me turn this on. Is your Widow spot checking? What was he doing? Pass into the iris. Oh. Okay, I don't know whether this was a miscommunication or this was planned. If it's planned, don't do it. If it's miscommunication, communicate better, but don't use primal and trans at the same time. I know you're using trans now because there's a Genji Blade that's gone bye-bye. And I understand that, but like there's some kind of miscommunication because all the enemy team is used as primal, and then we respond with both trans and primal. That's clearly an over engage. I don't know. It's got to be a miscommunication. There's no way you meant to do that on purpose. Okay, again, your main tank's going too deep with the rest of his team backing up to deal with Sombra, and then your Hanzo kind of stuck in the middle. So like we started to see a trend on your team. Your main tank goes deep, and this could be a tendency error. This could be a not listening error. This could be just no one's communicating anything error. I don't know without hearing the comms, but your main tank has a tendency to go too deep by himself. Like he doesn't realize what's happening in your backline, or he doesn't realize that we're peeling, not counter diving. So he has a tendency to go too deep too consistently. Okay, so we need to correct that either with saying, okay, we're going with monkey calls, or saying peel, 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 so he knows to go this way, not the other way, or whatever we need to do. Now, honestly, he shouldn't be peeling here anyway, and the reason he shouldn't be peeling here is because he peels, Sombra sees she's a 5-on-1, she's not going to hit, she translocates out, now you have a complete reset of fight. Okay, you need to be able to deal with a Sombra that doesn't have EMP with just your backline, or you're never going to win. Okay, so he shouldn't be peeling anyway. So Diva comes this way, she peels, while your Winston comes this way. So your tanks have a complete miscommunication of what's going on. And then I've noticed multiple times your Hanzo kind of just doesn't move. He doesn't peel and he doesn't counter dive. He kind of just sits wherever he is and tries to shoot. And he's usually not near any kind of cover. He's usually in a very diveable position. So we're starting to see a trend positionally.
Nerf this! Ah! Nerf
Personne
this!
n'échappe à mon regard.
Okay, so but you can see the problems with the compositions, right? Is like your team jumped in and there's 2 of you, because the rest of you were snipers, right? So your team jumped in and the rest of you are looking at the jump, but it's just the 2 of you. So that's the problem with composition, really. That's why I would rather one of these be like Tracer or something. It's just to give that kind of up close bursty damage. Also something that can kind of peel, not be the ones being dove constantly. Yeah, see, 93%, and they blew their alt economy, right? So that alt economy would have won the fight, won the round for them. But now they're gonna have an issue.
Helden sterben nicht.
Okay, it's a good Val. Somehow that catches a Lucio. And then their Moira ults even though she's really low and kind of out of position. And the baby D gets off point. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at your main tank for a second. Just because, like, he's Reinhardt now, and we'll be able to see a little bit now that we have more of a team-based stuff going on. Okay, so, by the way, I should mention this. So, you guys full switched from a weird sniper dive comp to a completely full brawl composition. And the other team's playing basically meta with like 2 little hiccups with these two. Which, I mean, is fine. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with this. Interesting that you have the flexibility to do this. Yeah. Okay, alright. So, your main tank has the same problem across all tanks. And your main tank's problem is that he is Mr. W key. Like, he is like 100% in, 100% of the time, no issues. I'm freaking going at it, right? 100% of the time. And this is the issue, is like, to such a degree that, like, he doesn't, like, watch this Reinhardt. You don't even, like, as soon as you decide to hold the W key, as soon as you decide, okay, we have a pick, I'm just going to hold W key, you don't even put shield up, or you don't even stop swinging when there's nothing to swing at. First of all, you need to start Fire Strike cancellations and shield cancellations and use all the animation cancellations that Reinhardt's available as. Okay, you need to start using that. But second of all, like, there's nothing on your screen here. You're just holding mouse 1. And you get picked for it too. So we need some kind of ebb and flow. So for main tank and really the entire game of Overwatch, there's this ebb and flow to the game of like, okay, we're going in, we're using our cooldowns, we're trying to get a pick. Okay, let's recoup our cooldowns while still like kind of putting pressure on. Let's go in and get in and win the team fight. Blah blah. Like, there's this ebb and flow. You can't just be like, back. Okay, my Reaper got a kill. Moving forward. Like, you can't do that. You can't. Because, like, no matter how, I mean, I don't care if the Reaper's dead. There's other things that can kill you. You can't expect your Moira and your Lucio just to be, and your Zarya to have like constant resources to keep you up with no shield, and you're just holding W. Like, that doesn't work like that. And your Torb kind of made a very similar mistake here. Someone needs to go to point. Okay, the whole team can go to point. So we are having a little bit of a main tank problem as far as holding W is concerned. The difference is on Reinhardt. That's definitely your fault, the main tank's fault. On Winston, I kind of think it was the D.Va's fault for not following him, and the rest of the team's fault for peeling instead of counter diving. But I mean, it's kind of everyone's fault, right? It's the whole team's fault because something's not working. Good luck. I don't know why you even went for that, but. Okay, and you got charged again. Okay, why? Why did we shatter that? There was no indication that he was about to put his shield down. Did we just think his shield was about to break, maybe? Because his shield was really low. Yeah, I don't know why we decided to shatter that. The timing of the shatter is interesting. I mean, sorry, the timing of the charge is interesting. Like, on one hand, it's like, okay, he's nanoed, you're charging him away from your team. and you're getting him low health, so that maybe he has to hold his shield. So like that's the idea. But the other side of this is you're really overtaxing your healers because and your Zarya should have called out that she's hacked at some point. Where is she? Your Zarya at some point should have called that she was hacked, so she wouldn't have bubble available. Because you're probably you're gonna die off that. And then the EMP comes through. This is mildly solvable. Okay, you do have win conditions now, so you can do grab slag as long as none of it gets eaten by the D.Va, and that this D.Va's kind of proven that she isn't really doing much. And then the next fight, you can do some kind of charge into the D.Va or the Reinhardt, short charge, get them out of the way so the Reaper ult can do something. And then obviously bubble the Reaper ult, speed the Reaper ult, and do all the other things. Okay, good rotation. Okay, good beat. So this is what I'm talking about. This was why I was kind of surprised that you actually blocked the last shatter, but it was in a position where you weren't even fighting. If you were fighting, I'm pretty sure the last shatter would have hit too. You're kind of just holding, again, you're holding W mouse 1, like you're not really doing much else. You're not animation canceling, you're not switching between, you're not even flowing, so like 4 people got shattered. So we have to use beat for it, which, I mean, that's really what you use beat for in this situation anyway, like that or Reaper ult. So it's not terrible that we have to use beat here. What I will say is our turret uptime on Torb is really low. And also, we shouldn't all be walking out like this. Like, there's, like, Reaper should be teleporting up here to get scouting information and put pressure on a different angle as our team walks out if we're going to go this way. And then, on top of that, Torb really should be pushing all the way through so he can throw a turret up here and then start, like, shooting down or come back to his team and start, like, shooting this way or something. Like it's the whole concept of like a scouting, right? Like, why does the other team need to scout? Why would they be surprised by anything? Reinhardt, Shield, and DM can literally absorb 90% of the damage being done to them because they know where all 6 of you are at all times, right? It's so predictable. Why are we okay? Why okay, so we molten cord, even though that's our win condition with Graviton, after I think we were, no, we weren't down anybody, were we? No, we were not down anyone at that time. But after we get shattered, we use molten core, which I guess is fine, but we're in a soft reset mode. Everyone's going back here, right? Like we're in a soft reset mode, so it doesn't make a lot of sense at all, really. And then we get caught by a bunch of other stuff. I don't know. It seems like everything you're doing is unplanned. Like you're not like the order of events when you go into when you're about to go into a fight, like pre-fight communications should be, okay, what else do we have? We have this, and this, right? What else do they have? They have this, and this. Okay, cool. If they do that, we have beat. If they do this is what beat's for. Okay, cool. You know, what else are we using? Okay, this is our win condition, and this person's gonna call it, like, this is our win condition. Grav is gonna be grav slag is our win condition. Sorry, you're calling because it's your grav, right? Because it's your ultimate. So that's what we're that at the very least, that's what needs to be said at the beginning of fights. At the very least, that's what needs to be said at the beginning of fights. Yet we're not even going into that. So it's like, okay, like what's I don't understand what the plan is, right? So it makes me think we don't have a plan. It makes me think that a lot of this is just reactionary. That we're just like, now. Like, okay. Why now? Right? Like, what's the point? Are we switching off Torb, by the way? I feel like at this point switching off Torb's a good call. I don't think Torb's doing much. It's not like he's doing little. Like, your DPS are clearly out doing their DPS. The difference is that their DPS is meta. Specifically this Sombra. So this EMP is like an auto fight win. And then hacks are becoming a problem slowly over the course of this game. So, while your damage numbers are quite a bit higher, it's still a little bit problematic.
Apagando las luces.
Yeah, and so EMP and a Shatter is a fight win. And we're going to be really hard pressed to get a point back to point now. And we're going to get there because we should. So the plan now should be Cole in, find the first grab opportunity. Soldier's a good change. And then use Reaper ult if we can get D.Va Adam back. More so than anything else. Ooh, Soldier shows the wrong entry though. You gotta go high ground entry there. What is this Reinhardt doing? Yeah, I'm not going to value out of the ultimates. So Reinhardt has gone off by himself. The Soldier made it all the way back, huh? And now we're just playing stall comp. See, like, you're easily mechanically more gifted. Your Soldier got, what, 2 or 3 there? There's no way he should have gotten 2 or 3 there. He really shouldn't have gotten 1 there. Your ball is just decent shatter. So wait, when we shatter, we then immediately put our shield up, but when we... Oh my gosh, she's gonna okay, she got that off the Soldier. How are we turning this? There's no way. Like, we're clearly the better team. Mechanically, at the very least. There's no way we should have turned that. 0. Yeah, there's no way we should have turned that. Absolutely 0. The enemy team's target focus was just not there. And then we're mechanic. So you need whatever scrim level this was. Maybe this was just a bad scrim, but whatever scrim level this is, you need to play up because this is you're mechanically just better. It's really hard during the course of a game to struggle. Like, as a team in scrims, you need to struggle. You need to be challenged. You need to go, what's going wrong? How do we fix it? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you need that challenge so that you can figure out what's going wrong. You can't just play mechanically lesser teams and be like, oh, we won. Good. Like, good scrim bucks. Like, no one cares. Scrim bucks are like, what's that? What's that? Is it Zimbabwe? What's that? Oh man, there's some country that, or Venezuela, I think, where their currency is like 1 million of their currency is worth like $10 or something. It's terrible. That's scrim bucks. Like, it's not worth anything, right? So we're going back to this composition, this sniper divey composition, which I don't love, obviously. Except we're sticking on the Moira, probably because this is a less. It's not quite as far distance, so maybe the Zed doesn't think he could find the range on this one to stay alive, or maybe he does.
Ready. 2, 1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
So again, yeah, we're just relying on mechanical in this composition. Like, that's what this is. And we can see it, right? Like, this makes space for the team. These 3 kill things, and this thing power boosts things that kill things and res them if they die. Like this entire thing is based off these 3 picking things off. That's the entire composition. Seems like the enemy team almost has it figured out, actually. Yeah.
The objective is now.
Yeah, and so this map is not nearly as open as Shrine. Downtown's not nearly as open. So there's not nearly as far sight lines. Like, this is actually a pretty close range map because, yeah, there's a lot of high ground. But, like, look, like, this is the whole map right here. Like, this is the whole fighting area. And actually, I have to zoom in a little bit. That's, like, the whole fighting area right there. Except for the point, which is even tighter. So, like, you know, there's not a lot of room for, like, snipers or Zenyatta to get around. Like, 1 sniper, one Widowmaker, yeah, okay, fine. It's a pretty good Widowmaker map. But a Widow, a Hanzo, and a Zenyatta, particularly the Zenyatta, there's not a lot of room. Okay, so we get 2 mechanical picks. And the Winston is just doing terrible things. We get a 3rd mechanical pick. And then we clean up. Again, that's just mechanical picks. That's just mechanically we're getting picks, and then your supports are pretty good for making sure these snipers stay alive through whatever little dives are possible. So I really don't love this composition, because I feel like this composition will only take you as far as these 3 pick heroes can take you, which could be 3.7, could be 3.8, could be 3.9, could be however far it is, but eventually it will fall apart towards good team play. Because you will not be able to sustain that pick rate against good tanks or better DPS. Where is your Winston? Okay, Winston again kind of alone doing whatever he wants, and then our supports couldn't quite get that, although we should get the... And then Zin gets a mechanical pick. The dive comes through, and then get more mechanical picks. Let the ults come through. How does it trace your dive from that? Come on, man. Don't go that way, go that way. Now we're just stalling. Like, very few of your picks are team-based picks. Like, it's a headshot from this, it's a Stormbow or headshot from this, it's a volley or headshot from this, and then every now and again your Winston will jump something out of position, and every now and again your Diva will go with them, and they'll pick up a kill that, like, the Hanzo's already, like, body shot or something, or the Zen's already body shot. Right? Like, that's all that's happening right now. There's not a lot more to this, unfortunately. And, like, the positioning isn't bad, except for your Winston that keeps holding W in weird positions. Like, we can clearly see, though, like, you can clearly see from the numbers, like, where is it? Diva's taken 15,500. Winston's taken 16,500. So combined, they have what, 32? Yeah, about 32,000 damage taken. So 32k. Your tanks is going to be significantly lower than that, I assume. Yeah, 20. What was that? 26,000, basically, a little over 26,000. So 26k, right? So there's a 6,000 damage difference between the two tanks, right? And what about damage done? I bet 21.5k for the tanks, and then over here's 20. Oh, it's not that bad. 22.5k for the tank. So 1,000 damage difference. Okay, so the damage difference is actually fairly equal. I'm not worried about that. But the damage taken, they're like way more damage taken. It's because your DPS and your Zen are putting out that much more. Like, overall damage for the team is way more. In fact, like, your ults are going to be fairly equal. So this is 10, 15, 18, 20, 24 ults on this side, and this is going to be a little lower, but about the same probably. 10, 20, 23. Yeah, okay, one lower. So, like, your ults are also pretty equal, but, like, the issue here, the issue here is, like, you're just flat mechanically beating them. Like, your damage output, 22.5 damage output from your DPS, as opposed to, oh my god, what is this? 17k? Is that right? Yeah, 17 and a half, right? That's 5,000 from your damage, right? And then if you add the Zenyatta damage to that, which I think is what this is, right? That's what it is. 4,000. Like, if you add the Zenyatta damage to that, no, wait, healing done, wait, damage done, healing done. Yeah, that's great. Like, it's just really, like, you're just better than this team. Like, I don't know that there's a lot of getting around that, honestly. You're kind of just better. But the composition, like mechanically, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, what I was trying to prove the point there is, mechanically, numbers wise, and obviously eyeball tests mechanically, you're just better. But the reason you're struggling with this team, 99-99 again, and this one's probably also going to go 99-99. The reason you're struggling with this team is because their compositions function better than yours. They have an EMP win condition. They have a Dragon Blade win condition. They have they have support win conditions, although your supports aren't doing bad at all. they're probably being out healed by quite a bit. Their Lucio's out healing Moira. That's interesting. Yeah, so this is like 29,000 to 23,000, right? So like they're being out healed a little bit, but like it doesn't matter that they're getting out healed a little bit because the enemy team's damage and tanks are both being out damaged and tanks by yours, so it kind of evens out. You're just mechanically better. Like your healers aren't required to heal more than theirs because they're not doing as much damage as you. That's a weird dive from there, Winston. And again, like our Winston was way over here and had to peel way back. Like Hanzo's way over here. Like we're so split. We do a good job as a team grouping up the focus, like grouping up these three in this composition. We actually do a really good job with it. But like the Hanzo's over here and gets picked for it. The Winston was over here and has to dive all the way back over here to like peel. You know, the Diva's over here trying to like hold some kind of frontline press. Like it's just weird positioning, and it's always these two. It's these two with weird positioning pretty consistently in this composition. How did that get a kill? We were waiting for that ult too. Oh my god, that's a lot of ults. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know why we ulted that much. Either one of the teams, I don't know why we ulted that much. Is that gonna catch Lucio? Oh my gosh. Like where's the target focus? Like what are we looking at here? Okay, we finally get it down. Like the target focus is struggling because you guys are so used to going, oh, they're already dead. There's no need for target focus because you have two snipers that there's not a lot you can do. This Lucio change is good, by the way. I like this Lucio change a lot better. Don't go back and change, please. Oh, all right. I like the Lucio change a lot better. It lends itself to better peels. It lends itself to better everything. Anna, interesting. I think Anna's weaker here. Because the thing is, Anna's just as susceptible to dives and just as terrible in this map as far as range and everything is concerned as Zenyatta, except she doesn't have the burst damage potential, and it's a little bit, so you're giving up some stuff here, I will say, but it's not like you're healing bad. You have 14k healing on Zenyatta, and I think you played what, Lucio last round? It's not like your healing's bad at all. So now we're peeling rather than counter diving. But again, this is the problem, right? The tanks are holding frontline by themselves. They're counter diving basically nothing because they go to a Diva, for God's sakes. And then like, Hanzo's over here. This is not a bad position for Hanzo actually for once. And not a bad position for Anna either, even though she's just coming back spawn. Not a bad position here. But like what are we protecting? Like what are we counter diving? Like what are we peeling rather? It's so weird. Okay, I guess that's the end of the VOD. Was that like, did they C9? No, they didn't C9. Weird. I've never seen that happen before. All right then. Well, that's the end of the VOD. Thank you guys. So since I have a black screen here anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and draw some stuff. So some points to work on. Number one, the main tank in particular, but also like Hanzo a little bit, whoever the Hanzo player was, Hanzo a little bit as well. But both of you need to work on team-based positioning because you're kind of going on your own a lot, and I don't know team-based positioning. You're kind of going on you're on your own a lot, and you're kind of like going away from, like the Hanzo has tendency to go away from natural cover and kind of like just move around like he's never going to get punished for anything. And then your main tank just holds W constantly. So for the main tank, for the Hanzo, just you need to be positioned better. Like you need to find your natural cover. You need to find your off angles. You need to figure out what you're doing as far as all that is concerned because it's just not working. The main tank, I think, is more of a communication error. I think the main tank, it doesn't look like the main tank's bad positionally. It looks like he knows what he's doing. But it also looks like, hey, where's my team? Like what's happening behind, like he doesn't know what's going on. So that's usually a communication error more so than an actual like his fault positioning error. So what's going on with the team? We need to talk to each other during a fight. Sombra on your backline, Sombra on your Zen, Sombra on your Zen. That's a call, right? Like we need to know that. And as a main tank, you need to say, hey, okay, I'm diving the blank, right? And that lets your diva know, okay, I need to go with you. But you know, diva, and that's also why, you know, Zen saying, hey, Sombra on your Zen, your Mercy can say, I got you, and then and your diva can say, all right, I'm peeling for Zen. Like, these are all kills. These are all call outs that you need to be making, that you need to communicate with your team at all times. So there's probably a communication error with this main tank. This Hanzo, I don't think is a communication error. I think you're just not used to team-based positioning at all, or positioning and not getting punished. So you need to find the position where you're not going to get punished, and where you can hold a good off angle or just be the main angle damage dealer for your team, one or the other. Second thing to work on is target focus. I gave multiple examples throughout this entire thing where I was like, I don't know what we're focusing on. Like that one example in, like, I think it was the first fight of the entire map, where it was like the monkey went to point alone with the Widowmaker kind of shooting over it with the Widow with the Mercy pocket. Then something's diving our Zen over here, and then Hanzo's over, like, crazy stuff. And that was the most obvious example. But throughout the entire thing, it's like, okay, what are we focusing? And again, this is kind of a communication thing. It's like, okay, who are we focusing? Like, who are we going after? And there's not a clear cut answer as to, like, who, like, you don't shot call anymore. There's an in-game leader. Like, one person does not shot call anymore. That's kind of archaic. What you do is you have an in-game leader that can, like, trump things and gets conversation started as far as planning, as far as ult economy started. But in a game focus, you call who you're on. So if you're on, like, say the Winston goes, I'm diving this. Well, that's who we're on as a team then, because Winston's diving that. Winston goes, I'm on, I don't care, Lucio, right? I'm diving Lucio. And then if you're on Lucio, you do what's called parrot calling. You go, Lucio, 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 and you go after that. You go after that as a team. Like, you have to call that as a team. You go together, right? So this is also probably a communication error, okay? Number 3, I want you to rethink your compositions a little bit, okay? They're not terrible, but they're not great. Maybe, you know, if don't go on picks that you've never played before. I don't want, like, your Widow or your Hanzo playing a Tracer if they're like, well, last time I played Tracers when I was in Silver, right? Like, don't do that. But, like, think about Reaper, think about Tracer, think about Genji, think about something that can go in with your dive. Like, Genji's not very good right now. I don't really care. Like, just anything your team's comfortable with that can go in with the dive and peel appropriately. Not just another dive target, right? Just something else. Something that gives your team a win condition on top of being able to kind of dive and peel appropriately. So it's not just, you know, it's not just your tanks with the ability to, and I guess Mercy with the ability to peel, right? So rethink your comps just a little bit, just a touch, and the Torb in that other comp too. Just rethink it a little bit. It's weird. And then number 4 point I'm gonna make about this is planning. And again, this comes under communication. So really, 1, 2, and 4 are comms. Except for the Hanzo, but really 1, 2, and 4 are comms, where we have to plan a fight out at the very least, at the very smallest, at the very lowest level of communication. At least say what ults you want to use in a fight, right? At least say that. You should say what ults you want to use in a fight, and what ults they're probably going to use in a fight, and where you want to engage, and how you want to engage, and if you want to play firsts or seconds. We'll talk about that a little later. And if you want to, and you know, what we should be, who should we should be focusing down in the beginning of fights to help our win condition, and what cooldowns we should be putting in with our win condition or ultimate economy to make a win condition, right? We should be doing all of that. But at the very smallest level, at least say what else we're going to use. Don't just go into it in blind and go, I'm going to use this because it kind of feels right. Come on. Let's use a little more. Let's communicate a little more than that, right? All right, so that's Busan. That's the first one. Yeah, we'll thank you, and we'll go from there.